Hello and welcome to Always in Escrow with Sarina Appel and Colby Burchin. Hello, Colby.
Hey, Sarina, how are you?
I am exhilarated and I am empowered today because we are speaking with Risa Klein, a certified nurse midwife and OB/GYN nurse practitioner. And as of December 2020, Risa launched the midwifery practice at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City, where she and her team offer personalized midwifery care, birth counseling, and VBAC expertise. She's a Columbia nursing alum, an AMCB certified, licensed in New York and the state of New Jersey, and a published author. She is my own nurse midwife. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for having me and helping spread the message about midwifery. Thank you.
I'm really excited, Risa. So I know we've been planning this to get you on the show for a while because I don't think most people understand what midwifery is, and I want to get into this discussion. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey in midwifery? What inspired you and motivated you to pursue this field?
Thank you, Colby, for asking that. What inspired me was my birth with my daughter in 1989. And I was a TV news producer, actually. I wanted to be the Barbara Walters of my generation. So that's where my expertise was. But after I birthed my baby, I decided to switch productions and went to Columbia University after being a childbirth educator and birth counselor and birth doula, and got my degrees in nursing and midwifery because I was really good at giving birth, and I felt like I could inspire people to have the empowerment, excitement, and joy that I experienced from my birth. So that's really what inspired me.
Incredible. Well, okay, so let's start at the beginning. Can you explain the role of midwives in pregnancy and childbirth?
Yes. So the role of midwives is that we take care of healthy, low-risk women. For example, if a woman had diabetes, heart, cardiac, lung, blood, immunoglobulin disease, we don't take care of those people. But we do take care of people who are healthy and low risk, even women of advanced maternal age. I've taken care of many women in their 40s, women who have had in vitro fertilization, many people who have had prior cesarean section and want a vaginal delivery. So we take care of healthy, low risk people, and we are trained to recognize abnormality. So in the event a mother or her gestating fetus develops a challenge, we refer to high-risk maternal fetal medicine physicians or other physicians or practitioners that can collaborate, consult, and co-manage with us. So that's the role. We take care of women during their reproductive years, from getting their first period through birth counseling, through contraceptive counseling, through birth trauma. We take care of them during conception, pregnancy, labor, birth, and postpartum, and into the fourth trimester, which is keeping connection with them during those early adjustment months. So that's what us midwives do.
Wow, it's a lot of almost like hand holding. You need that, and it's great.
It is incredible. It's really a amazing, very personalized experience. And can you just hear Risa's voice, Colby? It is very calming, okay?
Soothing.
And it's very soothing. And this is her approach all throughout our prep time together. And then Risa turns it on when you need to turn it on. So she, and that's when, when you need to do the work and you hear it in her voice, but you can hear it. She's very, very much a supportive role in the birth, in the whole entire pregnancy and during childbirth as well.
I feel like husbands should have this also. I
They do. They do, because if they are involved, and, Len was involved and he was right there, and Risa encouraged him too. And he did have a role in my birth, at both
Wow.
births. Yes.
Risa, I needed you during my twins' birth. I was sweating.
Well, I've done twin deliveries as well. Sorry I missed you.
So what are some common misconceptions about midwives, and how can they be addressed?
There are many people that have this misconception that midwives work, that they wear Birkenstocks, and they are hippies, and they're not educated, and they work with impoverished communities and people, and that's really not true. Midwives are very educated, certified midwives, whether you're a certified nurse or a certified midwife or certified through the credentials of the International Confederation of Midwives. It's very strict academic and clinical skills and training. So I think a lot of people don't understand how bright we really are. So we do everything a physician would do, except we don't do cesarean sections or manage high-risk patients. So I think a lot of people don't really understand what midwives do. They think that another misconception is that midwives only do home birth. And while my career did start for 10 years in home birth, I simultaneously, as Sarina knows, and Len, that I worked with the late Dr. Andrew Garber. He was a high-risk maternal fetal medicine physician. I was the holistic midwife, and I started working with him for, it would have been 15 years, and brought a more holistic perspective. So a lot of people don't know that midwives work in hospital, that midwives work in birth center, and that midwives collaborate and consult and co-manage when needed. So I feel that these misconceptions, as we talk about them, people will understand that they truly are a candidate for midwifery.
And I'll just say that Risa's role on the floor, she is a brilliant director. Okay, so she is directing the nurses. She is directing what is happening with the birth. And she comes with incredible, deep intuition and knowledge. And you can see it. It's just, it's brilliant. I've told Risa before. I mean, she's just magical, and it is an incredible experience working with her, because all of that knowledge comes into play, sometimes when things aren't really kind of progressing as quickly as we want. And there's movements, and there's, adjustments that have to be made, and they're happening in a very timely manner. So I got to see, I'll share a little bit about my experience in a moment, but I got to see it firsthand, that brilliance at work.
It takes one to know one.
So my question was about midwives working alongside obstetricians and other healthcare providers in a collaborative care model, and how that actually happens.
Yeah. Well, that's something that was very important to me in my career. Whatever you do in your life, we seek out mentors. And it was very important for me when I was able to meet certain midwives, Valerie L. Halta, Nancy Weiner-Cohn, Dr. Andrew Garber. Certain people truly were my mentors in learning how to guide a woman. Birth is a very soul-searching experience. So how does one cross into the threshold of motherhood if, for example, she has a history of abuse, or if she had surgery years ago, or if she has a parent or a relative that recently passed, or other fears? These all have to be explored and discussed to help somebody truly remain connected in their body. So I always credit people where credit is due, to know that we are not alone on an island, that I've come to integrate philosophy, perspective, and help women and people sojourn through their growth experience, which will, in this case, happens to be childbirth. So midwives have the time. As Sarina knows, I don't wear a watch. So we give time to the process.
So, Risa, what are some potential benefits and what are the drawbacks, in your opinion?
Well, there are no drawbacks of midwifery care. There are some people that truly need to explore and think about, who are you? What's important to you? Is birth a catalyst for your growth, or do you want to be an active participant in your birth? Do you want to be a part of an informed decision-making team? So that's what really midwives do. Physicians do it as well. Midwives cannot work without physicians. So I'm truly grateful for all physician collaboration. However, the benefits are a more proactive, preventative approach. For example, as Sarina knows, nutrition, protein, nutrition, hydration, modification of lifestyle. I need to look at each individual and what is their life like? How many kids do they have? What's their work situation like? Do you exercise too much? What's going on in your life? So when I understand the gestalt of how somebody lives, that's what midwifery is about. And then making changes, modifying life so that I know, for example, when somebody gets an ultrasound, perhaps at 36 weeks, the amniotic fluid, which is the swimming pool that the baby swims in, will not be low. So I know I could help her avoid induction of labor, for example, for the lack of fluid, which is called oligohydramnios. So it's this more holistic approach that I believe is the benefit for those who want that approach. And also, I believe if people are really afraid of birth or they learned something from their mother or somebody else, midwifery care truly will allow somebody the time to not feel rushed.
Yep. Risa takes all the time that we need, for both parents. And it really is this incredible moment of awakening that Risa can provide, realizing, questions and asking questions that you may not have even even discovered, but she asks these questions to really get deep, get to the foundation, and just have an incredible experience that, that brings a child into the world. So it's really a remarkable approach. Okay, so Risa, how can people decide whether a midwife or an obstetrician is the right choice for their pregnancy and childbirth needs?
I think that the best way an individual could figure out, am I a midwifery patient or am I an obstetrician patient? They need to look at their health history, at their reproductive history. So we're looking at any high-risk diseases or conditions that they might have. Or if they have, for example, many fibroids in their uterus. I had somebody travel a distance to work with me, but her entire uterus was filled with fibroids. And even though I really wanted to care for her, she had many risk factors, and I couldn't care for her. But I think that if one thinks about their approach, their philosophy in life, and doing research, looking at the American College of Nurse Midwives directory for a midwife in their area, being able to do some research, listen to what this midwife or midwives are sharing with you. Does it inspire you? Does it speak to you? Visit with some physicians, obstetricians as well. Some women truly need to be cared for by high-risk maternal fetal medicine physicians with cardiac disease, lung, other diseases. So we have to really contemplate my health history, my emotional history, what kind of needs will I have, and in addition, where do I want to have my baby? For me, the safest place at this juncture is a midwifery approach in the safety of a hospital that has an operating room down the hall. God forbid, in the event we need the skills of our obstetrical experts.
Well, that we also wanted to just bring up some current topics that have been in the news recently, and Colby came across an NBC News, segment, and I don't think that this is actually new news for you, Risa, but it has to do with, underserved communities and how underserved communities need to acquire more knowledge or get access. So can you tell us a little bit more about that and, how it all begins and, what you're doing right now to make sure that, these wonderful women that are about to have childbirths are having the experiences and in a positive way?
Yeah, I think that, since the dawn of time, we've had midwives, and as we move through life and it's become clear that there is inequity in childbirth in minorities especially. But for many, many years, we're going back 20, 30 years, there have been studies, research. The March of Dimes put out a position statement in 2019. Our vice president in 21 actually, a group of nurse practitioners did a panel talking about the best way that we could lower infant morbidity and mortality rates is by integrating midwives more centrally into maternity care. So this is really a very big subject. I'm glad Lester Holt did a piece on it. Well, I'm so honored that you're having me on. This is how we get the message out, that midwives have lower incidence. You could read the research. Actually, I've been involved in some studies at Lenox Hill Hospital that we know, and some research has been published, that midwives have lower intervention rate, lower cesarean section rate. So this is why there's an impetus to integrate around the world so that we could lower infant morbidity and mortality rates in our country. So midwifery care for all people, and yes, there's inequity, but I have many people who've flown from around the world. They're very intelligent. They have many degrees. And, the more people learn about midwifery, they will seek the care of midwives.
I hope that we continue this awakening and share the knowledge. And thank you so much for coming on our show.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me.
Tell our audience how to find you.
Well, you can write to me on my website, www.manhattanmidwife.com. I'm on Instagram, Risa Klein _CNM. I'm on Facebook, Risa Klein, Manhattan Midwife. So you could find me through those social media sites.
I think everyone should reach out. It's definitely knowledge, and knowledge is power. Risa, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing the words and wisdom of midwifery. And people can also go to the ACNM Midwife, mymidwife.org, to look for a midwife that's certified in their neighborhood.
Here is a personal reflection about my work with Risa Klein. Working with midwife Risa for 2 births was a memorable and empowering experience. The personalized care and emphasis on natural childbirth, including exploring different comfort measures, made a significant impact. Despite a prolonged labor during the first birth, Risa's calming presence, effective communication, and guidance made a difference. Working with a midwife can offer a unique and holistic approach to care, but medical interventions may be necessary at times. Risa's experience, expertise, passion for natural childbirth, and dedication to individualized care were the reasons for choosing her.